In this class I want to talk about organizational psychology. Organizational psychology is the scientific study of human behavior within the workplace. It's organizational, so it's within the workplace. It's looking at the individual behaviors within the workplace. The concept involves the application of psychological theories and principles in order to understand employees and improve efficiency within the organization. So it's the application of theories to try to improve the working lives of the staff within the organization, and also try to improve the efficiency of the organization and its internal processes. Organizational psychology researches employee behavior and attitudes. This information is then used to improve recruitment, training and development, motivation, performance management and well-being practices. Now, the following are a range of theories and concepts concerned with organizational psychology: job analysis, recruitment and selection, performance appraisal, occupational health, motivation and job satisfaction, training and development, and group behavior. Now, what I want to do in the remainder of this video is to talk about these 7 areas in just a little more detail, just to fill them out a little more, so we have a slightly better understanding of what's involved in each. So we'll start with job analysis. Now, this involves researching and collecting information regarding specific jobs and the necessary skills required to perform the jobs satisfactorily. So it's trying to marry up the staff skills, the employee skills, with the requirements of the tasks that they're being asked to perform. Now, there may be a mismatch here, in which case there's a need for training and development, or different recruitment policy. So it's trying to understand the job, trying to understand the tasks that the employees have been given, trying to understand the degree to which these are reasonable, and whether the skills and competencies are available to complete the tasks. This information is communicated through job advertisements, job descriptions, and person specification, I should say. So the person specification means there is an outline of the type of person that is required to do some particular function, so that the recruitment is aimed at just recruiting personnel to complete specific tasks. So there should be a matching of competencies and skills and abilities from the people recruited, because the people knew that this is the task that they would be asked to perform, and there should be a matching between those skills and those required by the tasks. Job analysis allows organizations to develop job-specific recruitment and selection, performance appraisals and training. So job analysis means that there are very specific guidelines as to what sort of task the job requires, and the task is then itemized in terms of skills and abilities and competencies, so that recruitment is aimed just at personnel with those skills, abilities and competencies to come in and perform that task. In other words, it's a very specific recruitment and selection procedure. They're not recruiting in general, they're recruiting specialists, people with those particular tasks or experiences to apply to take on those tasks. Now also, organizational psychology is applied in the case of recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection processes use technology and psychometric tests to determine the right candidate for specific jobs. Now, none of this is a precise science, but good indicators can be achieved in terms of the likelihood of a match between a job applicant and the tasks required if the psychometric testing is done properly, and if it's sufficiently detailed and analysed correctly. So there is an insight into the person applying, and that can be matched up with the requirements of the task that they will be asked to take on. Assessment centres and online psychometric tests offer a scientific approach to effective employee recruitment. Sometimes organisations don't have the facilities in-house to conduct psychometric testing, so they may ask assessment centres to do it, or sometimes it could be done online. Clearly there's additional costs involved in doing this, but it's felt that it's still worthwhile, because even though it will cost more, the benefits of having the right person involved with the task will lead to more efficiency, more productivity, a better quality of product. The benefits should outweigh the costs of the recruitment, these additional costs of recruitment. A set of defined employee traits, skills, attributes and knowledge can help organisations retain and develop the right employees. So if the HR department go about trying to codify the skills and traits and competencies that are available within the workforce and who can do what, then there is a better way of training, a better way of utilising the staff resource to the benefit of the staff as well as the organisation, because then the staff will feel that they are doing something that they are good at. They're asked to use their talents in ways in which they want to use them. They're not proverbial square pegs in round holes. They are using their talents in a way that is constructive, that suits them, that it reflects good on them, and they will have more interest in the job as well. So the organisation benefits more productivity, better quality of output, more diligence, more application to the task, and the employees benefit because they are now doing something which suits them. It's what they want to do, it's what they can do, and they can be proud of their work. Performance appraisals and management. Well, this is a process for assessing employee work behaviour and level of productivity against defined set of parameters. So this is a way of management agreeing with the workforce objectives, what they need to achieve over the coming, let's say, 6 months or a year, depending on how often the performance appraisals take place. But the management agree with them as to what training they require, what skills they're going to try to acquire as well in that period, what issues are holding them back at the moment, and what are they doing to remove those. So it's getting an insight into the issues confronting the employee, and then trying to work out what the organisation can do to help, but also asking the employee to set on about making changes him or herself that will address these issues. And then in the subsequent meeting they can be reviewed. Were they successful? Did they fail? Why did they fail? why were some successful and others not, so that again it may be captured as to what was done and what needs to be done and what resources are required to help that, to help the employee to gain the skills, to gain the competencies, to gain the ability to perform more fully within the tasks that were given. These parameters tend to be information gathered from previous employees. For example, on average, how many customers can an employee serve in 1 hour? Well, if it's performance appraisal, then the organization will have some idea of what others can do. And then they will realistically ask that person to conduct themselves in a way that should match up with the evidence they have collected from the past. For example, in a supermarket, a person on checkout could deal with so many customers in an hour, let's say. If another person on a different checkout was looking after a lot less, then there must be a reason for that. What causes it and what can be done about it? Employees are assessed and information is provided to help them to further develop. It could be, for example, mentoring or coaching. But the employees are asked to look at their performance, see what can be done to improve it, and the organization should really make resources available to try and help the employees to improve. And this may involve, as I said, mentoring or coaching from a more experienced member of staff who can help them and show them how to perform better under given sets of circumstances. Organisational psychology also deals with occupational health. The need for good working practice, or good working conditions I should say, and job satisfaction and its impact on employee health. Now, employee health is very important because it's not just affects the well-being of the individual, it affects the organization. It may in fact affect the well-being of other employees. So having good working conditions and good job satisfaction is important. Good for morale, good for productivity, good for engagement. So the organization stands to benefit. But it's an ethical thing to do. It's the right thing to do, to try and look after the health of the employees who are there to earn a living, not to put their lives at risk or to damage their health. Employees are more efficient when they work in organizations that promote health and safety and well-being and welfare. So employees are more efficient when they feel healthy. They're more efficient when they're working in organizations that they feel looks after them and looks after their health as well. They're more engaged, they're more loyal to the organization, they're more helpful, they're more cooperative. So the work environment is better. It's a happier environment. But the organization not just had the ethical duty to look after the health and well-being of its employees, but the organization also benefits from having that better organization and more engagement by the staff. But also the organization will have more productivity, better quality of output, better customer relations, and a better reputation, which all enhance the image of the organization. It really dates back to the Hawthorne experiment, which implies good working condition and social acceptability improves productivity. Elton Mayo, when he conducted the experiment at the Hawthorne experiment, which is written up in motivation lectures, and I'm not going to go through here as a consequence. But what he found was by taking people on piecework and giving them breaks, giving them better quality working conditions, giving them better lighting, then he found that productivity increased. And it increased so much that it more than compensated for what they were given in terms of breaks and better lighting and better working conditions. So there are issues in occupational health that should be taken seriously by management, and should also be taken seriously by the employees, because it's in their interest to look after their health. It is in their interest also to perform well for their employer and make sure that the organization thrives, because that's the way for them to maintain their employment. Employee motivation. The study of different motivation theories and its impact on employees provide an insight into different work behaviors and ethics. Motivation theory is seen as quite complex. There are many theories vying for key position, many theories trying to explain motivation. But in a very simple way, motivation is getting the employees to want to contribute to the organization, to be engaged with the organization, and to align itself with the ambitions and the aspirations of the organization, whatever they are. So the employee is loyal to the organization and works hard for the organization and engages with the organization. So the theories tend to suggest the reasons behind this. It can range from a desire for promotion, or a desire to have better income or more job security, or it could be satisfaction in doing a good job, feeling proud of him or herself in having completed the task well. Employee behaviour can be influenced through the use of rewards and incentives, for example, but it could also be influenced by management not trusting the employees. Now, behaviour then would be quite negative. Scientific management set out to measure just about everything associated with the employee involvement in the work process. But that also leads to alienation, that the employee may then feel like they are no better than a machine and they're not being treated as human. So there are many theories to look at in the context of employee motivation, but it's important for the organisational psychologists to try and work out what is the best way to motivate a particular group of workers. Organisations can structure the working environment to encourage positive behaviour and encourage productivity. That partly harks back to the Mayo experiment at the Hawthorne. But giving the employees a better environment and a safer environment with good remuneration, it should lead to more motivation, a keenness on their part to try and ensure the survival of the organisation and contribute towards the goals and objectives of the organisation. But as I said also, there are many theories of motivation, and these are dealt with elsewhere on the course. And there are many videos to go with organisational theories. Training and development. Well, training must be provided to employees to further develop and update their skills and knowledge. Well, organisational psychology could be involved here to try and find out what sort of training, what's the best way the training programs can be organised and delivered, and what are the outcomes that can be expected, realistically expected, from the training programs. Employees can be more productive if they receive the right training for their specific job. So the onus is on the HR department to ensure that the employees are trained and given adequate training to perform the tasks. It's unfair to expect the employees to perform well if they haven't been trained in the task, if they really don't know what they're doing. Through job analysis, performance management and appraisals, management can identify the right training required for specific jobs. So if the management understand the job, what's required, and if they are using performance management properly, in other words, they are asking the employees to reflect and think about how they're working and asking them to come up with suggestions for improvement, and at the same time they're providing support and help and training, then the chances are that the outcome will be better than if the management simply allowed it to continue, allowed the situation to continue without training, without support. The motivation would be lacking, and there would be less involvement or engagement with the organisation, which could lead to reduced standards of workmanship, poorer quality, and a bad reputation for the organisation. Finally, group behaviour. Observations of group development and integration is an important area within organisational psychology. Trying to observe group development and integration. Sometimes employees have to work in groups because of the nature of the tasks, but the groups may not they may not see eye to eye. Members of the groups may have differences. There may be issues between them, and sometimes when they're working, some will try to be leaders of the group and others will object. Others others may be natural leaders and the rest will follow simply because that person is a natural leader. But there are all sorts of issues in dealing with group development and integration, and this is a very important area for organisational psychology. Effective groups can work together in harmony and achieve organisational goals. It almost goes without saying that effective groups are better than ineffective groups. But effective groups means that the members of the group understand each other, they support each other, they can cover for each other, they want to produce good work, they may feel proud of their group and proud of their section, and they like recognition for what they're doing. It's important to study group dynamics and application within an organizational setting. Again, the skills of an organizational psychologist are important because they can understand the group dynamics. Who is the leader? Who is challenging the leader? What are the issues when there is a disagreement? How can they be resolved? What's the mechanism for the resolution of the disagreement? What's most appropriate? So there are many issues for an organizational psychologist to look into in the context of groups. And that's all we're going to deal with on this very short and brief oversight into some of the areas that organizational psychology can be used and can be applied in the context of business. That's all we're going to deal with, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.